Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video. It's been a little while since we've seen each other. A part of it was just a general lack of motivation for me. A part of it was school starting again, which has been pretty draining. And a part of it was that I wound up in a hospital for almost a week with an inflamed appendix. Fun stuff. Anyways, on to today's video. Before we get into anything, I would like to thank everyone who supported the Petscop video I put up before this. It's honestly probably the proudest I've ever been of anything I've made. I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but I put together a 2-hour-long video and some people actually managed to watch through the whole thing. I consider that an accomplishment. I'm also very excited to start working on part 2, which I'm still hoping, fingers crossed, I'll get it done this year. But contrary to what I've just said, that's not what I'm going to be doing today. In fact, today I'm going to be visiting a different rabbit hole I've talked about a few months back, which is the rabbit hole of whatever dark realm it is that Revelino has come from.
Oh you, noble cocksmith of the internet. I give you this list of slut tales to help you screen girls out for relationships, or screen them in for a quick dick in. Left photo, her pussy is looking to his cock is facing the world. This is correct. Right photo, his cock is looking to her pussy is facing the world. This is wrong. 2,800 likes. Now don't worry, this video isn't going to be another Rivellino rant. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm blocked by him right now. Not sure why. I think I quoted something he said saying women should have rights or something, but honestly, I couldn't even find the tweet. I just know I'm blocked. But the guy we are talking about today is quite similar to Rivellino in a lot of ways. He's pretty sexist and just generally has a lot of strange beliefs when it comes to women and relationships. Except he's on YouTube, and he's arguably even worse.
Apparently, this limp-wristed, half-cooked fettuccine noodle wearing a purple Hanes t-shirt from fucking Walmart used to be, or claims to be, a red pill man. But his most recent escapades on the YouTube sphere has been into fighting red pill extremism. I was thinking, okay, maybe I heard him first say that. Maybe there's like red pill dudes out there saying that we should enslave women and kill them or do crazy shit. No, he thinks that taking the rights to vote away from women is a bad idea.
But the main difference between the two is in their mindsets, which, whilst both come across as pretty gross to me, come from very different places. Rivellino seemed to believe that women were like children, in his own words, and believed that men should be in control because of that. She is like a child. Do not expect her to take any responsibility. Your girlfriend is not your confidant. She doesn't want to hear your doubts or your fears. That only scares her, undermines her faith in you, and kills her sexual attraction for you. She wants and needs a strong, resilient leader to guide her and protect her. She is like a child. The person we are talking about today seems to... I'm really trying not to use the expression hates women, but it is basically what he does.
Women will lie to your face. They will say they're with their mom. Women treat cars exactly as respectfully as they treat their marriages. They don't respect it. Why would you ever have a woman in your will who doesn't give you kids?
Now, I'm well aware those are pretty strong words. I feel like there is a huge difference between having sexist values and genuinely hating women. But I will do my best in this video to prove that is indeed the case with Undead Chronic. Undead Chronic XIV. Undead Chronic is the owner of a YouTube channel with around 35,000 subscribers, a proud member of the Red Pilled community, who has the capabilities of pumping out daily content. Often enough he puts out several videos a day, which could be one of the main reasons for his YouTube success. I have to know that I have a bit of a dilemma about Chronic, because on one hand, I feel like I could just show a lot of the stuff he says, I wouldn't even have to put in any sort of commentary, and it would be obvious as to what makes...
Just take that Western chick, chuck her into the trash, say, have fun with your degenerate society, and get a non-Western woman who is valuable. Because these Western women are actually liquid garbage.
On the other hand, I have a feeling at least some Chronic fans might stumble upon this video who obviously agree with him. And to those people, please have patience with me. It might seem like I'm just skipping over some stuff, but I have a lot to talk about. This video is somewhere around 20 minutes. I promise you I have plenty of points and explanations as to why I think the way I do. Also, it's not like you have to go too far. You can really just stay here, because now we're going to talk about the way Chronic deliberately lies to support his agenda.
Western women are too weak to take out the trash. Do you think they can take care of a child? Probably not.
Now, it doesn't take a lot to find out about Chronic's beliefs. You don't even have to watch his content. You can just read the titles. Obese Western women are gross. Western's lore knows she is low value. Western women refuse to learn how to cook. Women steal your kids. Western women will cheat on you. Racist Latino simp gets dominated. Alright, maybe not that last one. I put that in because that is a title I would be expecting on many sites that aren't YouTube. Yet here we are.
Wait, this is when she's supposed to be pretty, right?
I know self-love is a very contentious topic for some, but I don't think just calling obese people gross is really doing anything.
Ah! 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 Oh, please make it stop!
Also, calling women slurs and such is not by any means a rare occurrence.
Look at this. I know. No wonder her boyfriend ran away from shaved Sasquatch.
Herpes Sink brags about taking raw simp schlong. I feel like some people might try to use the excuse that these titles are meant as comedy, but in my opinion this is just disgusting and uncalled for name calling. Like, to call someone a herpes sink in the name of comedy, you better have a goddamn genius joke coming along with it. Because if just calling someone names over their sexual preferences and experiences is the joke, it's just not that good of a look. But I'm getting a little bit off topic here. I've said I would talk about lying.
We do not care.
Well, this video is sort of a meek example of that. Because in this 30-second video, the only thing this girl talks about is men not caring about her STDs. There is no talk about unprotected sex, nor is there any bragging really. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. The videos and titles I really want to talk about are videos like, "This is why you don't let feminists drive your car."
Damn! Who you let drive your car, huh? She this up.
When there is no mention of feminism throughout the video. It is just a clip of a guy being angry that a girl borrowed a car from him, and that
What the you mean you parked the bitch? What the you was playing destruction derby?
we don't know how it happened, we don't know if she has anything to do with it at all, and we most definitely don't know what her political beliefs are. He just made it up to make a movement he doesn't like look bad. Feminist wife killed his cat.
Alright, so somebody reported my last video. Wonder who. See this? Yep, this is what she's trying to keep you from seeing. Yep, she stole about $20,000 worth of stuff. Damaged my motorcycle and my truck, and she stole my truck. Killed my cat. That's right, she killed my cat.
This is a video where a guy claims a woman destroyed his life, stole a bunch of money, stole his truck, and killed his cat. I don't feel like I need to say this, but if she did it, she is a despicable human being. Perhaps one of the very few times where I would feel like Chronic's name calling would actually be deserved. However, that does not give you the right to take this video, this most likely very vulnerable moment for somebody, and lie about it for your own gain. Because once again, in this video, there are no mentions of feminism whatsoever. Woman attacks car for woman reasons. Once again, Chronic claims there are some sorts of women reasons behind why she is attacking the car. Except this is a 10-second clip. Apparently a part 2 to something we haven't seen the part 1 of, so we really don't even know the reason she's doing it. And it's not like it's just the title of the video. Chronic goes on to say that, well, this is just how women act. With some sort of sly comparisons also.
Western women are wild animals. Avoid them. I mean, you gotta treat them like the animals you see at the zoo. You can look at them, Maybe cut a hole in the exhibit if you're feeling brave, but engaging with them? Nah. I don't let them get that close to my car, even though it's a 92 Chevy.
I will say, I have said Chronic comes from the same pile of dating experts as Rivellino, and that isn't entirely accurate. Whilst Rivellino is trying to tell men how to act towards women, Chronic will often just outright say that you should evade them. Once again, Chronic's titles say it for me. Western thoughts are public property.
Western women in 2021 are public fucking property.
Western women will make you homeless.
Husband and wife get a divorce, or they're going through a divorce, separation, and she goes and gets a restraining order on him just because she doesn't want him to talk to her anymore. And in doing that means he can no longer go back to the house, which means now he's homeless and doesn't have any of his stuff.
It is too late for Western women.
At this point, I don't even have the energy to date anymore. Marry me or politely go to hell.
That kind of tells you you've been on a lot of dates. Kind of tells you you took a lot of schlong. I got bad news for you. No hymen, no diamond. No diamond.
I'm not sure what to really say to this. You are basically judging more than 100 million people living in America based off of a few TikToks.
You're not attractive. And now you're exposing yourself as a hoe.
One trail of thought I've had looking at all of these thumbnails, which I feel like is worth mentioning, and mind you, this is very much a theory, but there are clips of Chronic talking in very disgusting ways about the deal which was joked about in 1973 about China sending 10 million women to America.
Mao Zedong proposed sending 10 million women to the United States during talks with top U.S. envoy Henry Kissinger in 1973, according to newly released documents. Dare I say base? Can you imagine if for every entitled white woman, there was 2 to 3 Chinese women willing to do whatever to secure a long-term partner? You would see these white women screaming, "We're the real America. We'll stay home and cook all day and give you what," instead of what we have today.
I don't want to get too deep into this as well. There are many rabbit holes to crawl down on the Undead Chronic channel. But this makes me wonder, perhaps it is a bit of a stretch, but is this some kind of a fantasy about Asian women gone very, very wrong? Like, you can be into Asian women without despising the entirety of the US female population. Once again, this is very much just an idea, but it truly hits you when you hear Chronic calling Asian women breedable.
Anybody can be American, including 10 million Chinese females of breeding quality. Henry, why the hell did you not take these Chinese females, these waifus?
Okay, you are actually calling them waifus. This is getting weird. I will just leave that trail of thought out there to thematically end on the words of a famous Asian man. I've seen enough.
You know, we could have stopped the incel problem before it even started if we took these 10 million chicks. Oh, I love this article.
Back to the topic at hand. When Chronic is not going off about women being just generally awful people, he does sometimes talk about high-value women you can get into relationships with, and, on the opposite side, calls other women low value.
So, it's clear here Mao Zedong was seriously trying to give us some Chinese women, but Dr. Kissinger kept on trying to convince a commie country to betray another commie country. What a useless waste of space this was.
The issue with the social credit system for women is that you are really just evaluating someone of their very basic characteristics and skills. We'll talk about one of the main characteristics in a little while, but what they generally include are cooking, cleaning, and having children.
If a woman doesn't cook or clean, she's effectively a man, meaning that you can have fun with him, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but don't pay for him. This is a man. This is a masculine man who doesn't know how to cook or clean. Dump her. She is only worth practice.
This is what I meant when I said I had a dilemma about how to approach this topic, because women should stay in the kitchen is such a meme at this point. Most people know that it's just a very idiotic mindset. But then you find somebody who unironically says paying for a woman who doesn't give you kids is a waste.
If anybody in the world has a woman inheriting their property, and I say anybody as in a human man, and they didn't give them kids, that is a definition of some simp shit, man.
But to go into the mindset a little more, just to make sure my issues are properly understood, I understand why these roles were important at one point. Perhaps in the caveman era, these were things necessary for survival. And for a long time, relationships were not as free as they are now. But we live in an age where stuff like this really isn't necessary anymore, where you can decide how you want your relationship to work on your own and decide what's best for you. You can talk things out with your partner and figure out what makes you both the happiest. What makes you happy is not some kind of a perfectly defined role, it is something you usually need to figure out. Because it feels like these people, or at least Chronic for sure, is not looking for somebody to have an honest relationship with, but more so for somebody to let him live out his fetishized fantasy of what a relationship should be. Oh, and we haven't even talked about his main relationship requirement yet. If you are paying attention to the clips I've been showing you so far, you may have noticed the little square Chronic puts in the corner of each one of his videos, which reads, NoHymenNoDiamond, and Pop Cherry Don't Marry. This is not just something Chronic puts in the corner of his videos, it is an agenda he proudly speaks about how if you want a happy relationship, you need to be with a virgin woman.
The next time a chick tells you that she's available for emotional connection and pair bonding, just ask her if she's a virgin. More likely than not, she's not, and she's lying to you. So just take that Western chick, chuck her into the trash, say have fun with your degenerate society, and get a non-Western woman who is valuable. Because these Western women are actually liquid garbage.
Which I quite frankly find ridiculous. Mind you, this is not the religious belief that people should save themselves for marriage. This is a rule he specifically applies to women. He actually goes out of his way to call non-virgin women practice.
Public fucking property.
Even if there is something to the idea of saving yourself for marriage, I feel like Chronic definitely isn't the one to be talking about it. Because to make claims like that, you either need to have sources or qualifications supporting your claims. Now, Chronic does call himself a scientist in his YouTube bio, more accurately a red-pilled scientist gamer and kush extraordinaire, here to remind commies of the inadequacies of their fathers. But if there are any qualifications he has to speak of, I haven't seen them, and if he has any evidence, he isn't very good at referencing it.
And this is the same simp that calls me an incel. Okay, this is the kind of dude that calls Undead Chronic an incel.
He actually openly mocks somebody who claims to be somewhat qualified, saying they have a degree in social studies.
I'm 23, turning 24, and I graduated from my undergrad 2 years ago with a bachelor's in social work. Oh, hey, you know, every single male social worker degree, every single male that gets a social work degree is a bitch. That's 100% guaranteed.
But if you're going to laugh at somebody for their credentials, you better at least give us yours. It would certainly make you seem at least a little more credible, even if you were putting out the exact same content, because there would be some sort of a basis for your beliefs you most likely studied. Right now you're just giving out very toxic advice without anything backing it up.
If a woman has a high body count, she is low value. She can't pair bond.
Okay, that's not entirely fair. There is something called pair bonding he brings up occasionally, and after asking the all-knowing source of all knowledge, Bing, about this, it is true that virgin women have the lowest divorce rates. However, there are a bunch of things this can be attributed to other than a woman loses value the more men she sleeps with. Because, for example, women with 2 partners are much more likely to divorce than women with 3 to 9 partners. It is also true that people who save themselves from marriage are often religious and view divorce as a sin, which I feel like is not an objectively good reason to stay with somebody. Like, if the thing that keeps my marriage together is religion, and that is why I should marry virgin women, yet I'm not religious, I'm not sure what to make of that.
We don't treat all women the same. Women like you, feminists with high body counts, your practice.
As I've said, this is a very complex subject, and I don't feel like it's something you can just make these massive conclusions about with little to no qualifications. By the way, I'm just trying to bring up a few examples of what could be causing the lower divorce rates. I'm by no means an expert either. Oh yeah, also, if your only goal in relationships is to lower divorce rates as much as possible, where are your statistics on how many partners men should have to avoid divorce? I know a lot of times arguments like these tend to be misused, but if that is your goal, there is no reason as to why you shouldn't analyze male sexual experiences too, instead of blindly saying, use non-virgin women as practice, it's what they're for. This is a section of the video I have decided to title The Disturbing Asides, because I think we can all agree most of Chronic's values are pretty toxic and just not very good, but there are certain bits of his videos and his values in general just come together in a way that just really gives me shivers. And I would like to share why that is.
Ugh, look at those hips. I can just tell her future. With the dyed hair from all the zinc shots.
First of all, it's clips like these.
You see, when I take a Mexican chick back to my white family, all they do to me is wink and say, hey, make sure you put some extra zinc in a bitch's taco.
I am well aware this is a joke. At least I would hope so, but considering his views, it really just sounds disturbing. Also, going over his channel, I have realized that I'm not very well endowed in the red-pilled slang. I can't tell if zinc here stands for cum or for drugs. And I don't think either of that is good.
Whoever said you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, run me my money, look at me.
There's also this video of a woman actually being a decent mother, doing what Chronic would expect from her, only for him to quite literally tear at everything she did.
What are that? Some chicken nuggets and macaroni and cheese? You're not a housewife, you're still a hoe. You can never unhoe yourself. That gets burnt on the inside of your cervix. Tss, meant for the streets. Is this girl flexing about loading dishes into a dishwasher? I'm sorry, chick. If that's what you think being a housewife is, well, you know what? It comes from these females being raised by unfeminine mothers.
And if you just left it there, I probably would leave it there as well. It's not that different from most of his other content. But if we watch a little further...
I mean, I also was a teen mom and have 2 baby daddies, but like, everybody has their flaws.
This is pathetic. This is actually kind of funny though. 2 baby daddies, teen mom. Ridiculous. You see, Chronic says he wants to make a teen mom and take care of her for the rest of her life. I'm a child attracted person.
Let me get this straight. I don't think Undead Chronic is a child attracted person. I think as long as who you're attracted to is of age, I don't think that counts as child attraction. However, I think it's a very disturbing idea, especially considering his virgin woman comments. You're basically looking for very inexperienced young people to learn into your backwards values, which sounds like a very disturbing idea of a relationship. Like, I could genuinely call this video a misogynistic cult preying on young women now, and it would not be that inaccurate of a description. And that's not even considering he has an audience, which either agrees with what he's saying already, or is about to be indoctrinated with these values. We should probably talk about that as well at this point. So, Chronic has an audience. Partially, I think that is because he just makes so much content, it has to be recommended somewhere. Part of the reason people cling to him is something I've saved for the end of this video, but I feel like a lot of it comes down to the fact that if you are subscribed to the Undead Chronic YouTube channel, and you watch the content regularly, it is a massive echo chamber. This is something I've sort of already addressed at various points throughout this video, but it is very interesting how simple it is to basically create an alternate reality with just a few TikToks. I would also like to exclaim that everyone probably is in echo chambers of some sort. We all have opinions and worldviews which, to somebody looking from the outside, won't likely make much sense. I just feel like this is a case of that going even more wrong than it usually does. Because Chronic really is a beast when it comes to pumping out content, sometimes hitting you with a triple or quadruple upload of his short rambles. And this is something I've been wanting to note for a while. The women in these videos are not always in the right about things.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I'm a little lost, but fair enough.
I have decided to kind of sidetrack that for the sake of talking about what Chronic talks about in his videos, because it often isn't even related to the clips he's showing. But yes, the women in these videos aren't always in the right.
Be like, I could take her if I wanted to. I'm an authorized user on all his major credit cards. I'm listed as a beneficiary. He pays my bills and I'm in his will. Take him from me? I like to see you try.
The issue is that if Chronic is one of the main creators you watch, you're going to see many clips of women acting shitty. Or just dancing to songs like WAP, because that is something you consider to be dangerous.
Imagine spending tens of thousands of dollars to celebrate the fact that your daughter went to college to be a whore.
And this actually reminded me of an old INEPS clip about how the human brains can't really comprehend large numbers.
I think the main problem with the lottery is that our human brains are not wired to comprehend how impossible the odds are of, 1 in a trillion. If I tell you you have 1 in a trillion odds, your brain is actually going to calculate that as more around 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000, because a trillion, it's like, what does that even mean?
And I feel like Chronic, maybe unknowingly, very much abuses that condition of the human brain. Because if you see clips like these on the daily...
Okay. So I'm sitting in the parking lot at my school, and I look over to the car next to me, and I see a couple making out. And naturally, of course, I don't care because it's college. However, I get to my next class, and I see that the girl that was sitting in that car making out with that guy is sitting next to a whole different guy and holding hands with him.
You might just begin to believe that this is what the world is like, without comprehending that even if every single one of Chronic's videos were criticizing a woman for a completely righteous reason, you would still be looking at a handpicked percentage of the population so small, well, my calculator couldn't even figure out the percentage. Maybe I'll try to put together some sort of a visual for this, because I know it's kind of difficult to visualize, but if you believe all the women in the world act like the women in Chronic's videos, it is mostly just showing that your mathematics aren't in the right place.
When I like someone, I put them in the friend zone.
Chronic also doesn't seem to consider women to be people worthy of friendships, which means that you're going to have a somewhat hard time breaking out of this bubble. I don't like when people say things like, oh, you've never talked to a woman, because I think it's just kind of a silly insult, but when you say stuff like this...
What do you think a skinny little 100-pound blonde chick is going to add to your life besides cleaning your knob? Absolutely nothing.
That is the way it comes across. Like, I am not insulting you, I am stating that you clearly don't consider women to be people capable of intellectual conversations. Also, and this is something I began to notice since I unfortunately don't use an alt account for these videos, once I started watching Chronic, a lot of similar channels began popping up for me.
My young Buddhas out there, do not lower yourself to the disgusting degeneracy of getting with an old bat like this. It's just sad, boys. That's like that kid that takes his damn grandma to prom. Don't be that guy.
But I suppose it's just what the YouTube algorithm does. It gives you more of what you seem to enjoy. This is just an unfortunate case of it doing out of some truly awful content. The last thing I've been wanting to bring up in this video is that some of you might be wondering what does the 14 in Chronic's name stand for? And some of you also might be wondering, with speaking hateful rhetoric on the daily, how has YouTube not removed him from the platform yet? And about that, did you know that when you type Undead Chronic XV into the search bar, you actually get a result? It's a result of a channel with not as many uploads or subscribers, but it has Chronic's voice on it, it's his videos, and the bio of the channel reads, "This is the 15th time back, Susan. If you support censorship, then I wish for you to be censored." Now, it is worth acknowledging that the YouTube algorithm does tend to not be very reliable. Channels have been deleted for seemingly no reason before. Videos disappear without an adequate explanation all the time, and channels that really should be removed just get no attention. But from my understanding, this means Chronic's channel has been deleted 15 times. That's more than a call for an uprising. And I'm sorry, I know the whole freedom of speech debate is very complicated at this point, but even if we say that Chronic's opinions fall under freedom of speech, the way he talks about women certainly doesn't.
Ugh, look at those hips.
I don't know what to particularly do with this information. I would agree that Chronic's videos do violate the harassment or hate speech policy, but he is pretty relentless. It's kind of like the conspiracy theorist channels. They're wrong, and they often get removed when called out, but they just come back because they think it's this me versus the world situation that you need to keep fighting for. On one hand, the dedication here is almost admirable. At the same time, I feel like the lack of self-reflection just makes it very difficult to appreciate. And by the way, this is not by any means me trying to encourage anyone to go mass flag Chronic's channel or anything like that. I personally don't believe that those videos comply with YouTube's terms of service, but I don't encourage anyone to go mass flag him. Please do not do that. That is not a way to have a conversation. And that's about the end of the video, I suppose. Or at least the end of this part, because I feel like there still is a conclusion to be had here. In conclusion, Undead Chronic is somebody who genuinely scares me in a way, with his values and the way he sees women, but just like with Rivellino, or any dating expert really, I am always left with the question, why? Why do people believe these guys? They have no credibility and are just spewing nonsense most of the time. You may have noticed that I have been trying to hold off a little bit in this video when it comes to jokes, and that is partially because I think this isn't something I should be taking lightly. It is disturbing and I think really hateful. But sometimes a good joke can kind of lighten up the mood of the situation. It's also because I feel like a lot of it comes from a very sad place. This is the part of the video where I might have to acknowledge a few things Chronic at least attempt to do right, most of which could be labeled as men's activism. One of the things he talks about a lot is the inequality when it comes to receiving custody of their children from men in court. He also talks about stuff when it comes to dating that seems to resonate with some men. And I do feel like men have issues. I keep bringing this up. Men commit way more suicides than crime, and a lot of the comments he gets are men who have lost the custody of their children, or have been hurt in some way by women, or are often just irritated by the way gender roles in society wants them to behave. There is a conversation to be had here, no doubt about it. However, I feel like Chronic goes about it in just the worst possible way. Men's activism already gets a horrible rep for being something created by people who tend to be very misogynistic, and he's certainly not helping that impression. Pretty much any cause he talks about is getting a bad rep for most people just by being brought up by him. Or at least should get a bad rep from being brought up by him. I feel like there is a conversation to be had about men's issues, but I don't think falsely blaming feminism or acting like men are oppressed by society is the way to go. I know this is a very possibly strange point of reference for many of the red-pilled people watching, but this does remind me of something ContraPoints has said in her video about men, talking about a new positive role model.
But on the left, the whole idea of a men's movement is basically taboo, because the men's movement we all know is basically just a backlash to feminism, and at worst, it's just straight up misogyny. I think what would actually improve life for most men is a positive ideal of 21st century manhood.
Because what a lot of this hatred towards women comes across to me is this bitterness that you are getting neglected in spite of the fact that you're following all these rules and trying to abide traditional gender roles. There's this disconnect between acting in ways that you don't enjoy and then expecting the world to reward you for it, instead of trying to live a life that actually feels fulfilling for you, and trying to make a positive change in the world. I feel like once again it's a slightly fetishized idea about relationships where you don't think of it as, I want to be in a relationship with you, let's try it out, and more so, are you willing to fulfill my list of requirements which have been given by somebody else? In return, I will fulfill the requirements they gave me too. Which, number one, there is this glaring irony that you don't really want to abide by these requirements. But also, this is in no way going to make a relationship happen, or at least a good one, because every human is unique. We have unique desires and emotions which we express differently. And that is something that you have to keep in mind. I'm going to very much regret making this comparison, but there is a very interesting contrast between the femboys and the red-pilled men of the world. Femboys are people who try to take on more feminine roles because it is what they enjoy. Meanwhile, the red-pilled and alpha male groups on the internet often try and force themselves into little boxes because they are told it's what they are supposed to enjoy. And I feel like, specifically in groups like these, there is this need for a role model which shows that it is okay to put your personal happiness over some form of values which originate from times when they were basically necessary for survival. Or often enough they are just made up by people. It's like bringing a survival kit and wearing a bulletproof vest to your desk job, and it's really not helping anyone. Like, if you take that survival kit and you take that bulletproof vest on and you try to approach a woman with it, it's going to seem weird, and it's going to feed into this idea of rejection for you. But, you know, I feel like I'm going on a bit of a tangent here. I feel like for most of this video, I was saying things I was very certain in. These are things which I personally feel like are true, but I feel like are a little bit more debatable. So, feel free to debate them with me in the comments. Or feel free to debate the rest of the video with me too, I just feel like here it's way more likely. My last few bits of advice that I would like to give to the red-pilled community. Number 1, do your research, because a lot of these people are saying things which have no scientific basis, or just no basis at all, really. I know Nazi comparisons are very overdone at this point, and specifically people from communities like this are very allergic to them, but if anyone tries to tell you that a certain group of people does not deserve rights because they are biologically less worthy than you, it should very much be a red flag to you.
Ever since women were given the right to vote, they have voted on their biological imperative because they are predisposed to value security over freedom.
Also, stop comparing male issues to female issues unless it's completely necessary. Women get sexually harassed more, men kill themselves more, and there are many comparisons like that you can make. You can put all of those things into a statistic and figure out who has it worse, but you haven't really spent any of that time helping solve any of these issues. Maybe I'm missing something, but these sorts of comparisons really feel pointless to me. A lot of it comes across as you just wanting to feel like a victim, instead of actually solving issues you believe there are. And lastly, I believe fighting against these issues is a worthy cause. However, think twice before you come to the conclusion that something is a thing that you need to fight against. Because personal experience or short clips on the internet are not a good source to come to conclusions about the world to. So yeah, that is all I have to say, I suppose. Thank you all for watching. Whilst I have spent quite a bit of time putting together the points in this video, I'm well aware opinions may vary, so feel free to share your thoughts with me in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like, subscribe, share with your nearest red-pilled scientist and Kush extraordinaire, and also, I might be gone for a little while again. I guess this isn't something that I need to announce anymore since my channel is going more in this longer video every once in a while direction, so it makes sense and they take a bit of time to put together, but as I said at the start, I will be taking some time to make Petscop 2 now. I was very confident in getting it done this year in that intro, not so confident anymore. Also, once again, I feel like I need to reiterate that I am really glad so many of you took the time and enjoyed that video, because it is something I really enjoy working on, and it's good to know that I have the time to make something bigger like that, and someone out there is willing to take the time to watch it, you know? So, yeah. Hope you got something out of this video, Chronic fan or not. And, yeah, see you all either in Petscop 2 or in my next New Year post. Whichever one comes out first, I guess we'll see. And, yeah.